welcome to the Shepherd's Rest Dog Talk. This is episode 105B.
I'm Cam and this is Julie.
Yes, this is the Haftarah discussion of this week's Torah portion, and it's found in Isaiah 1 through 27, and this is the third admonition in the 3 weeks of the dyer straits.
Okay.
So this is the Torah portion that they like to read before the 9th of Av. So whenever the 9th of Av falls, whatever that Shabbat is before, this is the Haftarah that's read because it so closely resembles the wording of Lamentations, which they read on the 9th of Av.
All right.
But Isaiah was from the southern kingdom, and according to what we're going to read today, he was a prophet to Judah and Jerusalem.
Okay.
All right, so he was specifically at King Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. It says that in 1:1. So we know that at least for this portion, that's what we're dealing with, the southern kingdom.
Okay.
However, now I couldn't find this anywhere. This is just what I got from the reading, so take it with a big grain of salt. Go read it for yourself.
Okay.
I really feel like he's talking to both in this passage.
Well, I was fixing to ask you. So, the northern kingdom hadn't.
It has. It's no more
Okay.
at this point.
Okay.
At the point of, see, Isaiah 1:1 is not the very beginning of Isaiah's.
It's just put there. Got you.
It's just, yes, it's
Okay.
just,
It's placed there for a reason.
Right.
The Lord said, I need it right there.
Right. If you want to know the beginning, which we're going to talk about that a little bit, it's chapter 6.
Okay.
And we're going to actually read that. So let's just go there and we'll read that now. Because I already said he prophesied through 4 kings. All right, so Isaiah 6, we're going to read 1 through 5. It says, in the year that sovereign Uzziah died, all right, so this is when he was commissioned.
Okay.
I saw Yahweh sitting on a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the Hekel, the temple. Above it stood seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one cried to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is Yahweh of hosts, and the whole earth is full of his glory. And the posts of the door were shaken by the voice of him who cried out, and the house was filled with smoke. And I said, Woe to me! I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the sovereign Yahweh of hosts. Okay, so a couple of interesting things about this. This is when he was commissioned, and I just wanted to go through that because last week we talked about Jeremiah and how he was commissioned.
Right, I would say
he had the 2 visions of the almond branch and the boiling pot. And the boiling point is a restaurant, but yes, the boiling pot, however,
That's it. I was like, just shut up.
is what he saw in Israel.
Hey, for the pot to be boiling, it had to hit a point.
That's right. Hey, I like it. I really, really do. But the interesting thing about this is he saw the seraphim saying, Holy, holy, holy. Mm-hmm. So 32 times in Isaiah, he refers to Israel or Yahweh as being the Holy One of Israel.
Oh.
Did you know that in all of the Tanakh, there's only 6 other places where Yahweh's referred to as the Holy One of Israel, and one of them is in 2 Kings or 1 Kings, and it's Isaiah saying it.
Oh, well, makes sense.
Yeah.
Who says the others?
Jeremiah,
Okay.
Ezekiel, and David.
Oh, interesting.
And there are other places where it says the Holy One,
Right, but
but it's talking
Israel.
of a broader sense.
Got you.
Isaiah is saying the Holy One of Israel.
Yeah.
And I think it's real interesting because, like I said, this is obviously to the southern kingdom, but I'm going to show you how I really believe it's to both.
Well, the fact that you said to Israel made me go, well, yeah, he's actually speaking the prophecy of hope of them knowing you're going to all be one again.
Right. And Isaiah 1 through 27, this week's Haftarah portion, is really him doing this. There's 2 kids, the southern and the northern. Did you see what happened to the northern? This is what's going to happen to you.
Right.
But everyone who does commentary on this says it's a futuristic depiction of the southern kingdom. But I really believe that it's both.
Yeah,
really.
I was gonna say, it could be both.
It is, because the same thing happened to the southern kingdom for the same reasons.
Right.
All right. So we've already covered 1:1. So in 2, he says, "Hear, O heavens, and listen, O earth." So he's going to court,
Yeah,
and he's calling the 2 witnesses.
That's right.
All right. "Hear, O heavens, and listen, O earth, for Yahweh has spoken. I have reared up and brought up children, but they have transgressed against me." Now 3 through 7 I believe is all about to the northern kingdom.
Okay.
All right? Here's what he says. He says, an ox knows its owner and a donkey its master's crib. Israel does not know. My people have not understood. Now, the reason I think he's specifically talking to the northern kingdom right here is because Uzziah was not a bad king. He was turning the hearts of the people back to the Lord. So this wasn't a time of great rebellion for the southern kingdom yet, but that is coming. All right, in 4 it says, alas, sinning nation, a people loaded with crookedness, a seed of evildoers, sons act corruptly. They have forsaken Yahweh. They have provoked the set apart one of Israel. They went backward. And I'm like, oh, it reminds me of the church of Ephesus. You know, how far have you fallen? Because they started going backwards. All right. Then we see in 5, why should you be stricken anymore? You continue in apostasy. All the head is sick and all the heart faints. From the sole of the foot to the head, there is no soundness in it. Wounds and bruises and open sores, they have not been closed or bound up or soothed with ointment. Your land is laid waste. Your cities are burned with fire. Strangers devour your land in your presence, and it is laid waste as overthrown by strangers. Okay, so a few things I want to talk about this. You see, the land is laid waste. Obviously, the southern kingdom, this has not happened yet.
Right,
but
right.
it will. But he's saying
that
but the northern kingdom this has happened.
Right.
Now, do you notice that he talks about your wounds that are open and they haven't been healed, the head's been stricken, all of these things. So that's what he thought about that body, okay? The northern kingdom, the body of Israel, the head, they're stricken and their body, from the top of their head to the soles of their feet, they're corrupt, they're evil, they're just covered with whelps and bruises. And I thought, well, of course, because that's what Yeshua looked like on the cross. When he was bringing the northern kingdom back in, he went through what the northern kingdom went through. Doesn't he have to do what Israel does?
Yeah.
So Yeshua has to do what Israel does. So when Yahweh looked upon Israel, and that's what he saw in the spiritual realm, that's what Yeshua had to do in the physical. Yeah. And it was to call the northern kingdom to repentance and to be brought back in.
Right, yeah.
I loved it. I loved it.
And you know, it's interesting too, because that ties in. We know he's also the offering. You know, I mean, there's so many things he is on that cross.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Here's the thing. The offering gets torn up like that too.
Yes.
So how perfect to have those two put together. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And in that case, here you have the northern who's kind of given it as an offering. It goes by, it's the example. It goes by the wayside so that the southern kingdom.
Right. So then my head started doing all this weird stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, so Yeshua had to do what Israel does, right? But, you know, that was his first coming, bringing in the northern kingdom, looking like Isaiah 1, and we see it in Isaiah 53, you know. I mean,
52.
Yes, 52, 53, tying this together with what the northern kingdom looked like in the spiritual. Yeah. And then I thought, oh my goodness, so the physical body on earth went through something, then Yeshua went through it.
Right.
So now the physical body on earth is going to go through something, and then Yeshua's going to do it, fulfill it again. This is what my brain was saying. So, are we our brother's keeper? This is what I was thinking. So, he was from the southern, he was from Judah, and did what the northern went through. Now, we're from the northern, are we going to have to go through something that the southern went through? You know, because we're our brother's keeper? I don't know. I'm just saying, my head was just going, ooh, brother's keeper. Yeah, I get it.
I was going back. My head goes back to what we were talking about, the body within the body. So, you know, with the harlot and the taking those precious gems off of her.
Yes, look. It says, unless Yahweh of hosts had left us a small remnant, we would have become like Sodom and would have been made like Gomorrah. So Sodom and Gomorrah were completely destroyed. But we know from this, the northern kingdom had a remnant.
Yes.
Just like what you're saying, so, there's going to be a remnant within it.
So let's go on that part. Could Messiah be coming back second as that remnant? Because it's a strong king. It's, you know, I mean, he's won. He's coming back and he's going to rule the whole earth. I mean, that's a pretty small remnant.
Yeah.
Coming back to take control. I don't know. That's just where my head went, was back to the future part where you have.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no
idea.
There's so many things he could do.
I had to come out here and do Doc Talk, so I couldn't think on it more, but that's just where my head was going.
By the end of the week, we may have it all organized.
Yes. Now, look in 8. Now he switches gears, and now he's talking about the southern kingdom in, what's the word, juxtaposition to the north of
juxtaposition.
Yes. So because of what they went through, here's where the southern kingdom is. In 8 it says, "And the daughter of Zion is left as a booth in a vineyard, as a hut in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city." Now I see this as a progression.
Okay.
Because the booth in a vineyard, they used to put these small booths like sukkahs in the vineyards, and it's what they would stand in to oversee the grapes, to make sure they weren't eaten by wild animals, and the watch over the grapes, right? But after the harvest, it was abandoned until the following year.
Oh, okay.
So that's what he's saying. It's like we're after the harvest now, the crushing of the grapes. The northern kingdom just went through the final crushing of the grapes and scattering. After that, now the southern kingdom is like that booth that's just left out there, just waiting for something to happen to the vineyard.
Gotcha.
There's nobody watching over it. Right? And then they're like a hut in the garden of cucumbers. So they're completely abandoned, and then they're like a besieged city. So it's like a progression.
Gotcha.
First they're vulnerable, and now, they're completely abandoned, and then it's just a besiege, and it's over. It's done. So that will be the progression of the southern kingdom, but it hadn't quite happened yet. Yes.
So if you look at that backwards, here's why I say that. In this week's Torah report, one of the things we didn't discuss was the possessing. The Lord keeps saying, okay, now go and possess. Start to begin to possess. But it wasn't this. It was begin. And that he was told to begin to possess even before they fought Sihon and Og. So my point is, they moved a little bit, and then a little bit, and a little bit, and then they possessed it all.
Right.
So it's actually the undoing of what was done. Yeah.
Ooh, very good. All right. Now we see in 10, it says, "Hear the word of Yahweh, you rulers of Sodom." So now he's calling Jerusalem Sodom. And doesn't Yeshua do the same thing? And I love it because Yeshua's like, yes, he's just pointing back to Isaiah. So they'll go read it and go, oh, well, we better pay attention because look what happened to our forefathers.
Right.
All right. So hear the words. Okay. Give ear, O Sodom. Give ear to the Torah of our Elohim, you people of Gomorrah. So he's telling them, return to Torah. Now, from 11 to 17 is all about, I don't like your sacrifices. I don't like your attitude. I don't like your new moons. I don't like your festivals. It's all the ammunition that the church uses to say, see, he never wanted that.
Absolutely.
But that would be a big contradiction because he's just saying, give your ear to the Torah.
Right.
See, the point of that whole thing is they were going through the motions. So he didn't want to sacrifice. Why are we going to shed that blood in vain if it's not bringing about true repentance, which is what it's supposed to bring?
Right. And the clue here is he says, I don't like your.
Yes.
I don't like
that's
your.
right.
And in
the way you are doing it.
In the Brit Hadashah, Messiah makes a comment about your Passover. Your Passover? It's one of the feasts. But he says it's yours. I think it is Passover, your Passover. Mm-hmm. And again, it's because they're doing it like Julie just said. They're just going through the motions. They're not actually keeping his, as he asked, with your whole heart, a circumcised heart.
Yeah, and so, in my opinion, we need to be so careful that even though we've come into Torah and we are keeping the feast and we are doing what's right, supposed to be doing what's right in his own eyes, if we're not doing it with a clean heart, a pure heart, a repentant heart. Because the whole point of this is if you'll just repent and be obedient, then it'll all be good. Isn't that what he said to Cain? If you'll just, do what you're supposed to do in obedience, then sin can't overtake you. Right. But he calls them murderers, and he tells them in 16, stop doing evil. And learn to do good, 17. Seek right ruling, reprove the oppressor, defend the fatherless, plead for the widows. So these are this is the fruit that you should be seeing if you are correctly doing Torah.
Okay.
That's what I see here. So, is if you're correctly doing what you're supposed to with the heart, then you will help the widows and help the fatherless and have compassion on the people, the love that we're supposed to be giving to one another, right?
And isn't that what James talks about? Yes. I'm sure he's just quoting this.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Then go on in 19. It says, if you submit and obey, you shall eat the good of the land. But if you refuse and rebel, you shall be devoured by the sword, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken. So I see this on two levels. I see this physically. This is what happened through Hezekiah, through a lot of the kings that Isaiah prophesied in. They were doing what was right. They had abundance in the land. But then the last 4 kings were bad, just got worse and worse and worse. And they ended up being devoured by the sword. So I think about that with us today. If we'll do what's good, then we will be in the kingdom eating the abundance of the land, right? But if we don't, we're going to get devoured by the sword. Now, does that mean that Yeshua's going to come and kill us with a sword? No, but what is the sword? It's the word.
Yeah.
We will get devoured. We will either eat on it or it will eat us.
Right.
One of those two things. It's eat or get eaten. That's basically what Torah is.
Yeah.
Eat or get eaten. What side of the coin do you want to be on?
And you know the good about the good land?
Yeah.
That goes back with this week. I didn't talk about, but that Garden of Eden idea.
Yeah.
You know,
we get to go
when
back
he
to
created, it's good. He said, "This is good."
This is good.
And then they're in the garden. It's good, right? Mm-hmm. And then we have in this week's Torah portion where he keeps saying how it's good. The land is good. This is good because it's showing. Come, you're getting closer back to the Garden of Eden. Here, if you obey, it's good. You're eating of abundance of what's going to lead to the Garden of Eden.
So that explains why in the Brit Hadashah, when we see Messiah is good, and he said, no, only the Father is good.
Yes.
His words, it's his words we should be eating on.
Yes.
It's the Torah that we should be eating on. So when Yeshua said, unless you eat all of me, unless you take on all of it completely, like Caleb in your Torah portion, that's the good that we get to experience.
And then it leads to the land.
Yes.
The kingdom.
And we get to eat of the abundance. We don't get to be devoured.
Returning back to the garden, dwelling with him.
Yeah, and I love in Ezekiel 38, in Revelation, we see those both sides of the coin. You see those who get to experience the tree of life.
Yes.
And we see those that are being devoured by the birds.
Yeah, right.
By the false doctrine. Who's going to devour you? Are we going to let the good devour us and then we're safe? Or are we going to let the bad devour us?
Which dog are you going to feed?
That's right. The black dog or the white dog.
That's right.
All right, now in 25, he says, and I shall turn my hand against you and shall refine your dross as with lye and shall remove all your alloy. So I see this as we've accumulated all these things that have nothing to do with the Lord, have nothing to do with Torah. We've mixed a lot.
Right.
So he turns his hand against us so that all those things can be taken out of the way.
Right.
Now, are we going to allow him to just, thank you, remove it? Or are we going to hang on to him and go kicking and screaming? You know, which one do you want?
Yeah. Be thankful in all things.
That's right.
Even when it hurts.
Yes. And I love in 26, it says, and I shall give back your judges as at first, and your counselors as at the beginning. I mean, this is in the Amidah.
I was just going to say, wait,
pray twice a day.
Morning.
Yes. After this, you shall be called the city of righteousness, a steadfast city. Zion shall be ransomed with right ruling. That's what Yeshua did. Mm-hmm. He ransomed it. And her returning ones with righteousness. So when we return to what's right, to Torah, through Yeshua, then we can be these ones that are returning in righteousness.
Right. And when we return to Torah, we can actually now keep the whole book.
Yes, and follow him completely.
Yes.
Like Caleb.
Yes.
That's our goal. We want to be like Caleb and Joshua. We don't want to be afraid of the giants. We don't want to be part of that old generation. Right. We want to be part of the new generation that ushers in the land, the kingdom, the next step that we're going to take.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. The next step.
Because I'm not sure where we're going to be.
Exactly. and then what happens? Is there another step after that? That's why I love the circle idea.
Yes.
You know, when we do this, it's like, it's over. But when you do bring it together, it's like, oh, wait. Because
we've been here before, but we haven't.
Right. And we always say, kiddingly, but
kidding,
seriously,
not kidding.
Right, that once the millennium happens, right, we're over, here we go in the circle again. It doesn't end.
No,
we just don't know what that next circle looks like, but we know the pattern.
That's right.
Anyway.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week with episode 106. Moving on up again.
106. Get your kicks.
She had to say it. All right, well, we hope you have a fantastic week. Shalom.